This is the video answer for exercise 2 of Project Hypnos. In this exercise, we're focusing on mitigating a security incident from the client view in the CPM console. So to start with the exercise, you need first to generate an event. We're opening the link that's on the desktop, persistent test, and we're going to download and execute a sample threat. So this threat is generating multiple files on the system, and has also an element of persistence, as every time you will reboot the system, the infection comes back. So you click on the link, downloading, save, and here, even though we have some warning from Internet Explorer, we're just going here to go and run the file. We're now getting some detections, so we can see that we have actually some threats that were dropped by this dropper_demo.exe. And we're going to look at where those files are located. So we're selecting one of them and we're going to detail, and we can see the path. So we have a folder that's called infection source payload. So we're going to open the Explorer and see if everything is cleaned up. Okay, we can close this and we can see we have a run key, we have payload, there's some kind of executable here, and we have a folder with a structure and multiple files in it. Some of them are being mitigated, but we still have something left behind. We're going to initiate a reboot to see if the infection comes back when we restart the system. So here I'm using remote desktop, but if you have a direct access to the shutdown menu, you'll be able to go start and shut down. Here I need to launch CMD and launch the command shutdown/r for reboot. And once the system is coming back, we're going to analyze what's happening on startup. We are now presented with a WinRAR self-extracting archive. So this could be run silently, but here just for illustration purpose, we're just going here to go back and do an extract and replace all files. So we have the same detections as what we had initially, just after the download. We need to go beyond just the standard antivirus to actually get a cleanup for this. So we're going to switch to the CEP console on the client view and try to launch what is called Power Eraser. So we are now on CPM 01. We're going to launch a Power Eraser scan on WCWS02 to clean up the reoccurring infection. So we're going to right click on that client, run command, and we go to launch Power Eraser analysis. Here we're going to do a scan without rootkit detection and click OK. This sends a command. Okay, so we are in the push mode with a 1 minute heartbeat, so it's almost immediate. And we can now switch view and go to the monitor view to see the command being received and executed on the client. So we're going here on monitor, command status. We see that we have a Power Eraser scan. So far it's not received. And this page will refresh periodically. And so we should see the progress of this scan happening. One thing to notice with Power Eraser, so it is not an automatic cleanup, because you need to have administrator's authorization just to be sure that the aggressive cleanup is not actually deleting genuine files on the machine. So it's not automated. You have to actually approve the change and run a second scan to do the cleanup. So now the command is received and it's about to be executed. The scan is now in progress, so this can take up to 5 to 10 minutes, so be patient. So now the scan is complete, so we can go and look at the detail of the detection. So we're just clicking here. So we can see there is 2 entries. So there is a file that's called payload, and there's something that about PowerShell, but this is actually part of the setup. Solicel is using PowerShell in unsecured method. So we're just gonna overlook this option for now. So going to the Power Eraser analysis, so we click on the link here, and we can see we have to select the line, click View Detection, and here we can actually set an action. Okay, so we take the first one, the one that's based on the file, and we're going here, delete a risk with Power Eraser. Okay, so this will launch a second command to go and delete that payload.exe, which is the file that was identified to relaunch the infection at reboot. So another command is sent, So once the command is issued, you have actually a prompt that asks for the user to kick off the restart for Power Eraser to make the cleanup. So you need to switch as soon as the command is issued to your client, WCWS02. You see this pop up and you just click restart now. So this triggers the restart. If you're not doing this, you're gonna wait even longer. We are now reconnecting to our client after the reboot and cleanup. And we're just going to look at startup items to be sure that there's no more WinRAR pop-up, so that infection that would reoccur. Back on the desktop for WCWS02, and we didn't see any additional pop-up coming up. So that means that the infection is cleaned up. And just to make extra sure, we're going back to our C infection source folder and check that payload.txt is really gone. So we can see this is gone. However, we still have a folder that's called payload here. And if I'm looking inside of this, I still see some files. Okay, we're just going now to run a scan, manual scan here. We could also launch a command from the management console, same from the client view. Right click on the client and launch the scan, but it would take an extra amount of time. So here we're just going and launch the scan for virus. So we can see that we have some detection happening and they are compressed files. So this is something that's quite important because real-time protection wouldn't find threats that compressed in some cases. Malware authors still have some options of obfuscating threats, and therefore they can be actually sleeping on the system if you're not running a scheduled scan or a manual scan on those machines. So now we actually manage to clean up the system. And once the files are completely cleaned up, we just will be left with clean files on our system. This concludes exercise 2 of Project Hypnos.